Welcome back to Season 6, Episode 1 of Teed Up, where everyone's a sports expert.
A podcast that makes students care about sports.
We are an original podcast created and produced by Long Beach State's student-run newspaper, the Long Beach Current.
I'm Brandon Rodriguez.
And I'm Gianna Echeverria. Today we are joined by coaching staff of our Long Beach State Dirtbags, head coach TJ Bruce, and our newest pitching coach, Abe Alvarez. Welcome on, y'all.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. We're excited to have you.
Coach, I got to ask, what's the update on the Coaches Podcast? And although we are new hosts, are we still invited?
Always, man. You're always invited. always open door policy.
Yes.
Come to practice, come in meetings, come around campus. Whatever we can do to help and promote y'all and then promote our program that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, I love it. Big Dirtbag fans over here, y'all. So I guess starting just talking about new year, talking about 25-26 season, we kind of had a lot of big seniors that went out, you know, Champaign, Ashworth, guys that did good for the program. What kind of impact did they leave behind on the players that are going to be coming back this year?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because, last year wasn't the year that anybody wanted. Last year was a tough year, I think, for everybody. Guys like Ash and Champ, I mean, they've had 4 head coaches in 4 years. That's crazy to me to think about. And then some. So with that being said, there's no stability. There's new structures coming in and out. And I thought those two in particular, right, because you mentioned them, shined. Kellen Montgomery was another one.
Yeah.
3 head coaches in 3 years, right? So those guys shined, like we asked them to. They were super consistent. They were who they were all year. They didn't break. They didn't blink. All the buzzwords. They were incredible people to be around. So I really enjoyed getting a chance to learning them, but also being around them, and they helped me become a better coach. And I know that's really hard to say in certain years, right? Like I said, last year was just a really, really hard year, I think, for everybody involved, and my family and our staff included. But what those guys left behind, I think, was the professionalism in how I look at it, in my opinion. Like I said, they're great people. They're great ambassadors of the Dirtbag program, but they left behind the professionalism of how to go about your work day in and day out. Like I said, whether we lost 2 games Friday, Saturday, and they entered Sunday, or whether they won 2 games, they just didn't change their approach to it, and they were really fun to be around. Champ is coming back as a graduate assistant coach.
Oh, awesome.
So he'll be on staff this year.
Cool.
We're excited about that, but I wish those guys nothing but the best.
Yeah, they were good for the program. So what is Champ going to be doing? What's his role kind of?
Yeah, so I think all of us started that way. Abe and I both started that way too.
Cool.
John Strauss started that way. I think it's really what it is. It's an entry-level position. You're kind of like a graduate manager is essentially the proper term.
Okay.
And you're just doing odds and ends, right? The rule, by NCAA rule, you're allowed to coach the drill but not the player, okay? So there's some gray area there, but that's really the rule. So I think it's really good for them to help out in the office because so much of this thing is about recruiting and evaluating, right? And those are 2 separate aspects, right? People always think recruiting is just the same, and I have always put those are 2 different aspects. Evaluating is the easy part, in my opinion. It's the recruiting after that the steps that take to get the player. That's what happens next, and I think those guys like Champ can learn that and learn what it is to be in the office early and what goes behind the scenes. And I'm in the middle of doing this great PowerPoint, and then all of a sudden I got to get up and go take a recruit on campus and take them to lunch and spend time with that. And that's a lot. So they'll help a lot with that stuff. Him and Alex Mialakis will be helping also, which is a returning pitcher.
Yeah.
They're both going to be grad managers. They love the Dirtbags, and they want to get into coaching. So we're all for it. We're all for promoting that. That's how we started. And I think it would that's our job. What Dave Snow and Mike Weathers started with that role it's our job to continue that and pass the torch to these young guys.
Nice.
Awesome. And Coach, from the outside looking in, I thought those 2 names you mentioned, Champaign and Ashworth, I think those were the captains of last season. How do do you look for someone else to replace that role, and are you expecting someone to kind of fulfill that role coming into the season?
Great question. I think some of the captain talk per se just happens by accident, I think. I don't necessarily think you go and place that on somebody. I have made that mistake in my career as a head coach, and it becomes a lot for certain people. They're more worried about other people. They forget to take their daily vitamins per se and worry about themselves, and then all of a sudden they're just no good one way or the other. Those guys just really earned it based on how they approach the game and practice every day. There wasn't a stamp put on it. But they just earn that with the respect of their coaches and teammates, how they handle themselves. So how we move forward with that, I would love to have 40 captains, to be honest with you. I think that's the goal, right? The goal is to have a player-led program, not coach-fed per se, and have 40 guys. And even if that's really unrealistic, 40, let's just get 15. If you had 15 guys that were pulling on the same end of the rope, that were policing each other, especially in different position groups, you're going to be a pretty dynamic program and a pretty dynamic team. So as we look forward to that, it's limitless, to be honest. I don't think just because you're a returning guy that you are automatically deserving of it. And I think just because you're a new guy, you don't deserve it. I don't believe in that. I believe in a lot of that stuff is earned with trust and respect and loyalty and how you do things on and off the field. So we're hoping that we have a lot of guys step into this thing and they become a player-led program.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Like you kind of mentioned, we did see a lot of, not a lot, but younger players that touched the field last season, Trotter, Matt Toomey. What do you kind of expect from them this season, or what's the growth going to look like, or do you not expect something out of them?
No, I think there's always expectations. I think we're in this business we're in a result-oriented business, right? So there are expectations. I do expect them to be better physically than they were a year ago. I think the biggest jump of anybody's career is going from high school to the Division I level, right? I was super fortunate, and I always say this, I couldn't make that jump. I had to go to junior college, and that was a huge jump for me personally. So for these guys to jump from being 18 and being the best player in their high school to now they're surrounded by everybody was the best player, I don't really expect them to be more than who the best version of themselves, but what I do expect them to do is to carry out our core values every single day, and that really is the expectation. The expectation outside of that is a blessing, but we just want them to embody what the Dirtbags are, embody our core values, live them out every day, and the performance part will take care of itself.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, I think that perfectly leads us to our next point. Apart from the stats, what do you look for in your recruits?
Oh, that's a whole. I got a whole. Yeah, it's like the Sudoku. Is that what or Sudoku?
Yeah. Fill in
puzzle.
here. Yeah.
I think there's body sizes and heights and weights and speed and all that stuff. I think that's part of it. And then obviously you get into tools, right? I think there are the 5 tools in baseball, and I know other sports have them, but you want to also, I think the hardest one to identify is the makeup, right? We spend such a short amount of time with these recruits nowadays. And what I mean by that is you should, for a starting pitcher, if you go see him once, you should have a pretty good indication. And I'm just talking a 5-inning game. Let's just say a 5-inning high school kid, he pitches 5 innings. You should have a pretty good indication physically what he can do by the end of that start, which would pique your interest to go back. And then after 2 starts, you should be ready to go. And I always think that with hitters too. For the most part, I'm pretty good. If I see them for 4 bats, I'm pretty good, and then I can either yay or nay, and I can move on. But I think the hardest part is the makeup, right? Because you are making those short decisions, and so how we try to dive into makeup is what's family look like? Because you're not only recruiting the kid, you're recruiting the family, right? I always believe it's co-parenting at its finest. I need the parents, and the parents need us, because in the 3 years for a high school kid that they will be here on campus, we will have a bigger impact on them than anybody else in the world, because we see them daily. Our program is people in our program are surrounding them. So we will have a huge impact. So we need to know what makes them, I think, intrinsically tick for me personally. And so that's the hardest part of the game. That's what we try to spend the most part trying to identify. Are they a good fit for who their position coach is going to be, but also can the staff, let's just say an infielder, because that's what I do. Let's just say it may not be, for me personally, a great fit, but maybe I have a staff surrounding me that can offset some of my deficiencies to help fill in the gaps. And if we can, then let's do it, right? Because I do coach a certain way, and I need the makeup for the most part has to be a certain way. Abe's worked with me before, and so if it's not, then it just won't work. Right? So that's the hardest part that we're trying to figure out. So with that being said, that's, without diving into it, that's a whole nother podcast. That's a whole hour we can get into.
The staffing, or?
Well, just how it works, right? How you're trying to build the player, because I am a demanding person in my own way. Abe's demanding in his way. Doc is demanding in tags, and all our whole staff are demanding in their own way. So it's how can we get the best version of this player with all of us offsetting everybody's deficiencies and what they're not good at or what they have to get better at, but also what can the coach coach? There's certain elements I just cannot fix.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fix, to be honest with you. There's a lot of things that they'll come back, and this is more the time that we spent in Nevada. They'll come back with a video or something, and I'm like, no, I don't want to touch it. I don't want any interest in touching this. And he may go on and be an All-American somewhere else. That's part of it. I just know that I'm not good in that area. And so I just don't want to spend the time fixing that. So that's why that's Sudoku, right? You're trying to fill in the right puzzles, and you're trying to find the right pieces and all that stuff.
That's cool. A lot of work seems intricate.
That's why that's why the recruiting and evaluation process is so different, right? The evaluation process, I can go out and evaluate people. I do it for a living. Abe does it our whole staff does it for a living. My wife always, I'm evaluating our 11-year-old Pop Warner team every day. I'm like, okay, that body moves this way, this body moves this way. Okay, how's this guy do when we challenge him? Okay, what's the family dynamic like? Because those are all pieces that make us and build us into who we are.
Right.
So you have to know all that stuff.
Yeah, important.
All right, so Dirtbags, of course, have a rich history in creating MLB stars. Do these players do they play an impact on the team? Do they come back? Do they do visits? Do they help out with some of the coaching maybe?
Yeah, I think so. So part of this thing is the NCAA rule part. It's a lot of gray areas, but I will tell you, I think every coach has their connection to their era. Okay. Right. So Abe and I obviously have a really good connection from our era, which is Abe started here in 2002. Yeah. Into really the present moment, I would say. Yeah. To where Strauss and Tags have a really good connection with the late 80s to 90s, right? But I think if we can, which is good because this staff can kind of intermingle, but also Doc can come on this side and we can go on that side. It's just all that way. I do think they come back. I would like to see more guys come back more often. And I think part of it is why you never want to get in the way, right? And that's where those guys are at, which is a super selfless attitude, right? But I would like to see more guys get involved with the program, whether they played for Coach Snow or they played for Coach Weathers or they played for Buck. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing that matters is, number one, has always been about the program and always will be about the program, whoever the coach is. It's about the Dirtbags. It's about the Long Beach community. That's the bottom line. Yeah. So I would like to see more guys come back, but there are a lot of guys that are super involved from both eras. Yeah. Right, from the Coach Snow era, we got two of them on staff. Yeah. Right, in John Strauss and Jeff Tagliaferri. Yeah. And then now you have two Mike Weathers guys. I mean, Abe played for Coach Snow for 1 year, but you would probably classify him as a Coach Weathers guy,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And you have 2 Coach Weathers guys that are super, and I know our guys are super involved, right? Whether it be Jared Weaver, right, who does a great job from afar. He lives in Simi Valley where he's from, and
Right.
he's raising 3 kids with his wife,
Yeah.
right? So there are different challenges in that regard, but anytime we were to call him, he's on board, right? Jason Vargas is another one. Jason Vargas is the best teammate I've ever had in my career. I mean, Jason is so available at a drop of a dime, and there's a lot of other ones that are too. I don't want to take away, but you know, I think you're always trying to grow it, and you're always want to see more. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always open. Come, you're a dirtbag. You know, Jason Numfer, who played here in the mid 90s, is always around.
Yeah.
It's great, right? It's awesome.
Yeah.
And Numph is always around, and Steve Lewis is around, and there's a lot of them that are around. We would just love to always see more.
That's awesome. Well, kind of talking about like y'all coming from the same era, kind of moving over to Coach Abe. Yeah, you were here and got the opportunity to kind of go make it big a little bit, and you know, you're a part of that Red Sox 2004 team. And I don't know, what's it feel like to be back here now, coaching and on the other side of everything now?
It's home. It's kind of just what TJ said. It's an opportunity to come back to a program that taught you everything you know, not just baseball-wise. We talk a lot about, you know, character and the recruiting part of it. You find out that what you were missing where you were. I was at BYU, I was at Nevada, things like that when we weren't together. But now you're like, oh, this is familiar. This is home. This is the way we've always done it. This is the way we need to do it again. And when you're a part of that and you succeed and you see the program, it's like, oh, you want to go back and kind of start that all over again. And it's going to be difficult, but it's doing it the right way. So success has always come through this program. It's just now finding an opportunity as a new era per se with old kind of roots and doing it that way, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, with the couple more the departures, sorry, we still have to talk about the departures, but Kellen Montgomery off to UCSB, Albert Robles off to Oregon State. How do you replace those guys? Because those guys were electric, to say the least, coming into the season. So how do you replace those guys moving forward?
Well, the great part is I have pitchers that I don't even know.
Right.
I've been here for, two and a half weeks, maybe. So it's on paper. I've done some communication. I started sending out things that I want guys to be ready as they come in September. And I don't know, I've watched video. I have probably recruited some of them, you know, that ended up coming to Long Beach. So there is some familiar faces that I do know. But it's a new year. It's not about replacing, it's about building. And I think that's the biggest thing that these guys will have to understand, and our program will do, is we are not replacing, we are building from where we're at. And if we build from where we're at, then it's not about looking at the past year or years that this program has struggled. It's about going forward, and that's the goal. We have plenty of pitchers that will develop. It's now in their hands. You know, obviously I will lead them and give them structure to do that, but it'll be in their hands to how they want to identify themselves at Dirtbags or not.
I kind of want to ask you about your transition coming from out of state back to California, and like not to get too personal, but like with your family and everything like that, and how they're taking it too. And like, obviously outside of the emotion of coaching, like how does it just feel to be back in Long Beach?
You mean we're just not coaches?
No,
and we're
you
just
guys are not just coaches.
Is it really?
I
That's
just
what
wanted to
everybody
ask,
thinks.
like,
We're
how
just
are
a
you
coach.
like just adapting, I guess, like in your
guess-
natural life?
I think it's always easier for me because I came to school here, and the pyramid's a pyramid, the library's a library. You know, when I saw the email and said, "Oh, LA," I was a history major, so I was living here kind of when I was at school, and then even when I came back to finish my degree. It's tough though. You know, my daughter's 12, sixth grader, so middle school. My son's 10. We built a life in Utah for 3 years, and my wife was a teacher, and the community was great where she was at. And I think it was, you know, as a dad and as a husband, the coaching piece is you separate it for a little bit, you know, boxes, moving, emotions. You know, like my kids just started school yesterday. It's all, you know, it's all part of a move that we've done. We've actually moved 3 times in 7 years.
Yeah.
When he brought me up to Nevada, and then from Nevada I went to Utah. But it's very emotional overall for my kids and my wife. My wife, she grew up in Downey Lakewood, so this is home for her
Oh, okay,
too.
cool, cool.
She did go to Cal State Fullerton, so that's a bad thing. But
We don't talk about it.
I always give her crap. But at the
Good.
same time, the emotional part of it is hard. Just because kids are growing up, and I'm sure it was the same for TJ and his daughters going into middle school and high school too.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's difficult. But the best thing about it is my daughter turned 12 the 13th of August, and we're still in boxes in our house. Had a barbecue, cousins, friends. And I was like, oh, this takes away a little bit of the burn, because now we have people who care about us and love us, and it's blood. It's our family, and that's always a big thing. And get to be a dirtbag again.
Yeah, sure. It's nice to be home.
Yeah, being locals, I want to ask you guys this question. And I saw that you guys are born in the same year. Did you guys ever play against each other in high school?
I don't know. I don't remember.
No, I grew up in the Inland Empire, so I was from Fontana.
Yeah.
I think the closest we got to this way was like Bishop Amont, like
Okay,
Pomona.
it's still far. Yeah.
I remember losing to Long Beach Wilson in the playoffs in CIF, but I don't think Bosco was probably lower division.
No, we were Division 1 then, but I don't. We went to Riverside once, but I don't really remember.
I don't remember playing a Bosco team.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't remember that.
We just had to know.
Yeah.
We had to know.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah, no, that would have been awesome. So just like to kind of wrap everything up, between the two of you, and obviously, like you said, you kind of spent all summer, building your staff back up. What are some things you want to leave the listeners with? What are some things you guys are looking forward to, next steps after building? Like, what does the season start look like for y'all?
I think really at the end of the day, our job is to impact people. Like, I really believe that, and I believe our job is to impact the program, and while doing that, the community, right? Because the community is so important to us. I grew up in Long Beach, and so that was a big deal for me, and I know it still is. But there's this sense too of making the past dirtbags and past coaches who you respect proud, and I think that's always the driving force. I know some people say that's dangerous to think that way, because then you're always comparing, and I'm not trying to compare it to Dave Snow's teams, because those teams were great teams.
Yeah.
And it's a different era. I'm not trying to compare them to Coach Weathers' teams, because those teams were great. Even Bucks had some really good teams in the, the teens of the 2000s. But I think particularly Mike and Dave, you're just trying to make those guys proud, and you're trying to make the Dirtbags proud of their storied program. And I think that's our goal. And if you keep that on the forefront, I think it's easy to remove the emotion about a lot of different things, right? Because we're ultimately going to do the best job for the program. And whether it's hiring people, whether it's guys departing, whatever it may be, it's what's best for the program. And that's really, I think for me, where I'm at personally.
Yeah.
Now with that comes a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure with that. Right, because you're living up to two legends, right? You're living up to Dave Snow, who's one of the greatest all-time college baseball coaches ever, in the Long Beach Hall of Fame. Mike Weathers should be in the Hall of Fame and is not quite yet, but hopefully will be.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure with that, but we have those two guys in our corner. I know that too, which helps. And the best part is those guys want us to do it our own way and kind of want to leave. They want to be left out of it, to be honest with
totally.
you.
That's true.
But you have this affinity and love for them as you do the program, because as we talked about, right, this raised us in our baseball career, but it did so much more in our personal life.
Yeah.
It's how we're a husband, a father, a coach. It's all the above. It's all encompassing. So that's for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the pressure is real. I mean, even when they're in their interview process, or I mean, we never really. I guess. Conversations. I mean, he introduced me to my wife, so this is deep. This is deeper than anything.
Sure.
So it's. He told me, he's like, you're probably gonna feel this probably a little bit more because you had success here. I was on those teams. I think every besides my freshman year, but my sophomore, junior year, we're a top 10 team. We're playing to go to Omaha. It was consistently. I was an All-American. The accolades are there. He's like, you're going to feel the pressure a little bit more because you were here with success. Now, he was on the 04 team that also almost made it to Omaha. So there is that pressure of understanding what can we do and what can we do it the right way. The way he puts it with Coach Snow and Coach Weathers, it's true. We know a certain way this program was run, and we've taken that with us, I think, to other programs where we're at. Now it's how we're going to do it and how we're going to do it our way. And he's right. Coach Snow and Coach Weathers probably want nothing to do with it, but at the same time, I know they're going to be watching and be like, oh, yeah, like I remember, I remember certain things that they did where we're going to do and be like, yeah, that's dirtbag baseball. And that's the whole goal. Now, how we do it is how we'll do it. But the biggest thing is making sure we leave an impression on who we coach and those players when they do leave, become part of the brotherhood of Dirtbags, which is a big deal.
Big legacy. Awesome.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we wanted to cover. Just wanted to get back to talking, meet you for sure, and, see how you guys felt coming into this season. I know there was a lot of change, so we just wanted to feel everybody out, but
change is good.
Yeah.
Right.
Change is good.
You got to understand that too. Change is good. I mean, we wish a lot of those guys that departed great, we'll play all three of them, or I guess we'll play Briseño. We went to Fullerton. We'll play Kellen, and we play Oregon State this year. So we'll play Robles, but we wish them well and thank them for what they did. But also, change is great and change is healthy. And
it is.
We're on this new track of dirtbag baseball, and it's really exciting time in my opinion, because of who the staff is. It has nothing to do with anybody else but who the staff is right now. And these guys are all dirtbags. They know what it looks like. They know what it feels like. They know what it sounds like. And it's really exciting walking into the office and seeing all these guys back home.
Yeah, I can tell y'all have a good dynamic, and you seem excited about what's next to come, and it's a good thing that perhaps this is the start of the next era, right? So
yeah, I think that's the one, right? The era started it last year, I guess, with bringing a dirtbag back home, but now we had a chance to bring all the dirtbags back home, essentially, right? Because it's never about one person, right? Every good head coach, in my opinion, has had their people with them. Coach Snow had Coach Weathers. Coach Weathers had Buck. Right. My success at Nevada as head coach was with Abe. Right. And some other coaches along the way. But now we all have each other, which is great, man. And they do such a good job counterbalancing a lot of things, right? And a lot of things really from my point of view that I function a little bit different sometimes, and so they just do such a great job, all those guys, of alleviating any pressures and, hey, remember this, remember that, and we're just trying to take pages out of certain playbooks, and without losing who we all are either.
Nice. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks.
Appreciate you. I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Yes.
Thank you.